It's likely that you're here in part because of a desire to find healing and freedom in your marriage. The difficult part of having this desire is that we're sometimes more motivated to keep the peace than to actually bring growth and healing. As a result, we often want to do more and try harder to help rectify the situation. That was certainly the case with me. For decades, I tried harder and harder to make my wife happy, thinking this was the God-honoring thing to do. I discovered this just isn't true. I had hired someone who acted as a coach who actually encouraged me to do less as a way to help me, my wife, and our marriage. He suggested that I disengage, and he actually gave me the assignment to fast from caring. In other words, to stop all efforts to take responsibility for my wife's happiness. I struggled with this big time and actually had to set up multiple appointments with him to process this instruction. Once I understood, I began to implement this by starting to do things to take care of me again, things that filled my emotional tank. I had stopped doing these things little by little, thinking I needed to be more available for my wife so I could do more work on our marriage. I began to start playing golf again, going on walks, and hanging out with friends. Without even realizing it, I had become afraid of disappointing or angering my wife if I wasn't always available to her. This was a huge change for me that required a lot of support from those around me. In an upcoming video, I'll discuss how this will be your most important strategy to enlist godly support on your journey to become the man you were made to be. Though this change was scary, I began to experience freedom that I didn't think was possible. The freedom to carve out time for myself and take care of myself was a vital change that was needed in order for God to begin His healing process in me. I know that disengaging seems counterintuitive, but please do not ignore this. It's imperative that you look after yourself. It's only by doing this that you can properly care for your spouse. If you've flown on an airplane before, you've probably noticed that the safety instructions say that in case of an emergency, put your own oxygen mask on before assisting someone else, even your children. This is because if you're not healthy, you can't help anyone else. The same is true in your marriage. One more important thing. In order to properly disengage, you'll need to do something you probably don't want to do. You'll need to be steadfast about not trading your self-respect for sex any longer. I need to repeat that. You will need to learn not to be intimidated or manipulated if your wife threatens to withhold sex. I can't emphasize this enough. Many men I've worked with have allowed themselves to be coerced when their wives withhold sex. They think to themselves, if I don't rock the boat today, maybe we'll have sex tonight. I'm not proud of it, but I admit it. I've done it many times in my life. Men, when we do this, we're not leading our wives or our families well. We're allowing ourselves to be manipulated out of fear, in this case, a fear of not receiving physical intimacy. If you truly want to break free from the bondage of passivity and timidity, you'll need to be willing to give up, for a season anyway, anything which is causing you to fall back into your passive ways, including sex. Confession time. When I began to disengage and taste the freedom I described, I still found myself at times entering into my old passive and timid ways so I could still have a sexual relationship with my wife. Each time I did this, I felt more miserable, knowing that I was not doing the right thing, all so that my flesh could be satisfied. I finally realized I was sick of feeling this way every day. I realized that I felt like a slave to my wife's emotions, and I felt stuck. In essence, it wasn't until my pain exceeded my pleasure that I decided in my heart to be okay not having sex for a while. However, when I finally took this step is when God began doing amazing things in my life, and I experienced incredible freedom. Though difficult, this decision has been so worth it for me, and it can be the same for you. So if you feel tired because of all the effort you're putting into your marriage without seeing it reciprocated, consider disengaging. Sexual rejection has a major impact on men, mentally and emotionally. The lack of sexual release can leave you feeling frustrated, miserable, moody, and unloved, to name a few. It can affect every area of your life and even spill into the workplace. I know because I've been there. In our next video, we'll cover some powerful strategies to help you when you're dealing with sexual frustration. So we'll see you then.